Um, so you guys know I'm in Pennsylvania and Russ is in New Jersey. So it's not too often I find like some good candidates around here, to be quite honest with you. So usually it's people in California and stuff, and I'm like, no. So this is cool.
Definitely.
So you are a government attorney, which seems kind of like common that I get a lot of attorney candidates. Why do you think that is?
Well, to be honest, we need a lot of attorneys on the people's side. We need attorneys that are familiar with like all of the legalese they call it, right? The special wording that every congressional representative like hides their secret poison pills and bills, secret corporate handouts. It's really having the legal training is going to be useful for our side, the people's side, because we can find out those tricks that they're trying to play and cut them out, and really beat them at their own game. Being an attorney and being an attorney, I've had the capacity, I'd had the really lucky opportunity to work on a bill that was passed last year that protects people who live in manufactured homes. So this experience is going to be really useful for us.
Absolutely. So that was primarily seniors in the trailer parks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's 200,000 manufactured homes approximately, and mostly occupied by seniors and people on fixed incomes. And it guarantees them certain these new rights. So when a park is sold, they're guaranteed a payment from the park owner, so they can actually move their home. In the past, most people would abandon these homes because they're expensive to move. So that's really cool. We guarantee their right to organize and access actually their ability to organize cooperatives to own the park and get special funding to purchase the parks as well. So it's really it's about creating democracy in these parks.
Yeah, that's awesome. So on that note, do you support a homes guarantee?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Housing must be a right in this country. It's for far too long. We've had too many homeless people, too many empty houses. We can guarantee everyone a roof over their heads. It's a basic necessity of life, and it's actually more cost effective to guarantee a home than keep people on the streets. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have a homelessness problem in District 6?
So we're actually pretty fortunate that it's not as great in other areas, but we do have people who are homeless in this district, especially our more densely populated areas. But New Jersey actually has many homeless people as well. And I think that's unjust in the richest society on the planet. We should be able to provide basic economic rights for everyone. So we're never faced with the prospect of being kicked out on the streets. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I digress a bit, but as far as a federal jobs guarantee, I know you're supportive of the Green New Deal, and part of that is the federal jobs guarantee. What are your thoughts on that?
Federal jobs guarantee, that's another thing that we have to guarantee. We have to have an economic bill of rights. And look, the bottom line is if you want to work, you should be able to find uh, job training, paid on the job training, and a job that will guarantee you a living wage and a good standard of living. And, really, the United States used to have the highest standard of living in the world. That I remember, I see these, the old school black and white ads saying that we had the highest standard of living in the world, and we've forgotten about that American ideal, really. So a federal jobs guarantee will allow um, people to get back to work, paid on the job training, and really, it's what we need in this country. And especially when you look at a Green New Deal, we have so much work that we have to do. The best way to do it is to hire people to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And being you're in New Jersey, obviously you have a lot of water around you. So how imperative is the Green New Deal for, states like yourself?
Oh, Joy, this district has 37 miles of coastline, Uh, Hurricane Sandy is still fresh in our minds, and we spent $40 billion as a state cleaning it up, and people are still not in their houses because they were wrecked during Sandy, flooded during Sandy. And the Green New Deal is so important here because we're going to be the hardest hit state in the nation, besides probably Florida. And we're already experiencing it now. We've had 2 degrees of warming in New Jersey since we started recording temperatures, and that's the threshold that science says we can't pass. And we've already seen 1.5 feet of sea level rise. And honestly, like, we've closed lakes during the summer because the blue-green algae now can, the toxic algae can now grow in these lakes because of the warmer temperatures. We have a really huge tourism industry here. It's so important to our district, and honestly, that's why it pulls every policy plank of the Green New Deal pulls above 75%. Most of them pull above 80% with Democratic voters here.
Wow. So as far as so obviously water is important, things like that, but what about fracking, things like that? Does your state have a lot of fracking and pipelines?
We have, so I know your state has a lot of fracking, and a lot of that gas passes through New Jersey through our dozens of pipelines. And even in 2020, there are at least 10 new fossil fuel pipes or pumping stations proposed in this state. Last year, I think I spoke about it with you last time. Last year, we actually stopped the construction of a new pipeline through grassroots activism, and our governor vetoed it. But it's back up. They've applied again. It's back up for renewal. It's back up for approval. It's in this modern day and age, we shouldn't be investing in these dirty, outdated technologies. We need to create the jobs of the future, with a federal jobs guarantee and a Green New Deal.
Absolutely. So you got a comment. Ooh, I like this guy. Please elect him, New Jersey. That's good.
Thanks.
And Christina said she likes your accent. I didn't really notice one, to be honest with you, but
yeah, I mean, do I have an accent? Wow.
My listening game for accents. So you actually you are primarying a 17-term incumbent.
Yes. He was elected in 1988, and he honestly, look, I have respect for the public service that he's done, but I think our district really needs someone who can demand the new policy changes that we need. He's had 32 plus years to really make a change, and he's had a shot. And I think that it would be absolutely a disservice to his district if he was reelected. So, but anyway, I think what we need in this district are modern ideas, fresh ideas, and a progressive platform that really wants to change the status quo. And that's what my campaign is bringing to the table.
Now, is it just you and him running at this point?
So I'm running against the incumbent. I believe there's a third challenger that's filed. So
do you think the incumbent would be willing to debate you?
No, I don't think so. Actually, I've asked him a few times in person to debate me, and he said we'll talk about it later. And I'm going to be sending. I'll be sending correspondence to his office asking for one, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, I would publish it and be like, I asked him again, and what's he scared of?
I would love to debate him 100%. I have no problem with a debate.
Every time I ask a candidate, they always say this happens, and I just wonder why. It's almost like they're scared. It's crazy.
Yeah, it could be.
So no, he is very corporatist, right? Big money in politics, things like that. Kind of like the polar opposite of your campaign.
Yeah, the polar opposite. It takes tons of money from lobbyists, the fossil fuel industry, the pharma industry, the health insurance industry. He takes money from anyone who will write him a check. But I'm running just 100% grassroots. I don't want any corporate money because we know that representatives can represent people with money or the average common person. And I choose representing the people and staying loyal to the people. So that's why I don't take that money. But I'm up against a very powerful chairman. He's the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee. He oversees 60% of all legislation. He's single-handedly could call a vote on Medicare for all and a Green New Deal tomorrow, but he never will.
Wow. So through your campaigning, I mean, it's obviously a different story now with COVID, but through your campaigning, are you finding that people in your district are more open to your ideas?
Oh yes, absolutely. Our ideas are the winning ones here, 100%. When we were canvassing, we knocked on 1,000 doors before the weekend before COVID hit, and I don't on that last weekend I don't remember one person who was opposed to any of our policy positions that I spoke to. In fact, when I make phone calls to voters in the district as well, almost everyone is on board with universal health care, with Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, ending the corruption in politics. Our platform is the winning one.
That's awesome. I noticed it's so much more common now thanks to Bernie, essentially. But um, so speaking of Bernie, how is that, as a candidate, as someone who was very inspired by Bernie, has that kind of changed your passion about the campaign, or do you feel it's more imperative to win now?
It's more important now. It's absolutely more important because the organizing that the Sanders campaign was doing was very important. But we have to continue the work. And movements are not based around one person or one campaign. Movements that we're building here have to last for decades, and that's it's more important to be organizing locally now more than ever. And Bernie Sanders is still on the ballot in New Jersey, so I definitely recommend people to go out and vote for him on July 7th. But Bernie was super inspiring to many candidates, and actually, we're running an entire slate of candidates in both counties under the "Not Me, Us" slogan. So we have Larry Ham running for Senate. He's challenging Cory Booker. We have county clerk Herb Tarbu. He believes in ranked choice voting and really securing our elections with mail-in ballots, I believe. And we have two freeholders. Freeholders are really unique in New Jersey. They're pretty much the budget. They control the budget here. But we have an entire slate of Bernie-inspired candidates that have been doing the hard work here of organizing, building the movements, and getting as many volunteers on board as possible. Because this is a movement, not a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the person running against Cory Booker? What's their name?
Larry Ham.
And like HAMM?
Exactly, yeah, HAMM. Ham, I believe his website's hamforsenate.org. But he's been a political activist for 50 years, civil rights activist, and he's actually one of the co-chairs of Our Revolution New Jersey, and also a co-chair of a founding member of People's Organization for Progress. He's based out of Newark. That's where he grew up, but he's been a social justice activist. And honestly, I highly recommend hearing him speak. The first time I heard him speak, he was able to keep the crowd on the edge of their seats for over an hour, and people on multiple occasions standing up, rounds of applause. And honestly, he brought me to tears the first time I heard him speak, because this is a man that's been so committed to justice for so long, and I'm so thankful for him running. And I think we're going to win actually on July 7th.
Awesome. I will definitely look into him. He sounds pretty amazing. Those are my kind of candidates, as you know.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Bernie's on the ballot. You're going to be on the ballot. You said New Jersey's will start being mailed out at the end of this month. And it will all be mail in then?
So there's actually not been a final decision on that yet. We're trying to push for that. The progressive groups up and down the state have been pushing for an all-in 100% vote by mail ballots. I mean, we do have an opt-in procedure right now, which is kind of outdated, to be honest. You have to print out a form and you have to actually have a hand, a wet signature and send to the mailbox. You can't do it electronically, which is an outdated way of doing things, because why not just have the signature, either faxed or emailed? So we're pushing for electronic signups and also automatic. Everybody should just be automatically opted in, especially right now we're dealing with coronavirus, and we have to protect the safety of people who want to vote. If we go forward with the in-person voting, I've projected that at least 1,000 new coronavirus cases will come out of in-person voting. And I know our governor is committed to protecting the people, protecting the health of New Jerseyans. But unfortunately, many of the the Democratic county committee parties have been pushing back against the all-in vote by mail.
Wow. And you said you're open to ranked choice voting as well?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. It makes sense, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments as well. I knew someone was going to say that, Christina. She said you're cute. It helps. I knew someone was going to say that.
Thanks, Christina.
Dude, you know what? It helps. Like, it does. It really does.
I mean, yeah, I hope so. I really appreciate that.
He's a genuinely nice guy too. So that works as well.
Nice show you. Thank you so much. I'm blushing over here. I don't know if you can tell it. I feel the cheeks burning.
Let's see. Okay, so on the topic of voting, New York, we had a victory, but now the lieutenant governor or the district attorney is suing us to say to appeal it. So we may not get New York to vote for Bernie after all. Sidebar, the woman who is trying to appeal actually did a live stream event with Bernie a week and a half ago, which is so jacked up.
Really?
Yeah, I did some investigating and I saw that, and which is infuriating. Now, you said that you're kind of going through something comparable in New Jersey, but that will be effective in 2021.
Yeah, there's the county committees of at least Middlesex County, which is the district I'm trying to represent. They want to cancel the Democratic County Committee elections for 2021 because of COVID. So what they're trying to do is extend their own terms by 2 years and cancel an entire election, which is supposed to be more than a year away. And you know what? What's actually insane is that they have the right to do that under their corporate rules, their bylaws. I think this is undemocratic. I think it should not happen. I think, if anything, they should still have the 2021 elections, but have that question on the ballot for people who wanted to vote on that. We have to have democratic processes everywhere. They're trying to take away the will of the voters. These county committee people were only elected for 2-year terms, and look, we're seeing COVID-19 being used as an excuse for violation of our foundational principles and our foundational rights, and we can't tolerate that. We really can't.
Absolutely. The first two things that pop in my mind with that is A, we're supposed to have a vaccine by then, so I don't get it. And then B, vote by mail. What the hell does it matter then?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's mind blowing.
Here's a reason. The last election, I think 40 something progressives ran for the county committee seats, and we actually won at least 2.
Yeah. So ulterior motives. The Let's say that they do come out with that and they are planning to do that. Is there any kind of recourse that you and your constituents can do, even if you shouldn't get this nomination? Is there anything you guys can do to say this is undemocratic, this is bullshit, we need to hold the 2021 election?
I mean, so first we could probably file a lawsuit, but I think what would be more effective would be to have public pressure on these elected officials. You know, a lot of people don't realize what the county committees actually do, but they're very important in local elections, very, very important in local politics, and we have to elevate the conversation, and we're trying to do that with press releases, using the media as much as possible to get this word out there, because most people are interested in these things. They just don't hear about them very often.
Absolutely. So Kathy came up with a good question, and a lot of us have asked this. Why do we have RNC and DNC? They're pretty comparable. So why do we have like 2? It seems like they're both kind of doing the same things.
Two corporate parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about, I digress back a little. You talked about money in politics. Now, is the incumbent kind of putting a lot of money into defeating you, or do they not see you as a threat?
I don't know how they're spending their money, but I have noticed a massive uptick in social media presence, and also emails and mailers into the district. So I think they are spending paying some attention to our campaign. You know, I've made myself known to the incumbent on several occasions. I've had one-on-one conversations with him, asking for his support with Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. On many occasions, I've asked him to reject fossil fuel money donations, but you know, every time I get the same response from him. It's really he's been in Congress for so long that he's very jaded by the system. He uses the excuse of, well, Republicans can't let me do anything. But you know, he was in office during the 2008 Obama term, when we had supermajorities, and they could have passed universal health coverage then. Wasn't fighting for it then. He just put out his climate plan, which is an absolute disgrace to this country. It's called the Clean Future Act, and tucked away on page 11 of the bill is a massive handout to these fossil fuel companies. You and I would be paying to build new pipelines until 2050. And he has the audacity to call it a Clean Future Act. It never will hit the guidelines that we need to hit by 2030. It's 20 years too late. But this is why my campaign is so important, because we have to let the people know that our representatives are not doing good by us. You know, and in November, I had the chance to ask him personally, look, could you at least support a hearing on Medicare for all, universal health coverage? He's never done it in the past. And, you know, the grassroots movements that we've been building here, that I've been a part of, and also others are really taking the lead on this issue as well, especially our revolution, have been asking him for this. Within a month, he scheduled the hearing on health insurance. And of course, you know, Medicare for all got about 2 minutes compared to you know, making Obamacare different or tweaking a little bit, which got the majority of the hearing. But I'm happy that our campaign and our grassroots is actually getting at least the conversation to the people that we need universal health coverage, and it's especially important now.
Absolutely. Gregory, yes, he supports an FJG. We went over that a little earlier.
Federal jobs guarantee. Yep.
What's that?
Yeah, federal jobs guarantee. Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
and also a universal basic income too.
Now, as far as UBI goes, I saw you do have it on your website. And by the way, A looks like Mares said that you have one of the best websites she's seen of a candidate.
Oh,
Um,
really? Thanks.
it's pretty awesome. That it is really nice. I spent some time on it. Um,
Thanks, Julie. I appreciate it.
as far as UBI, now, so there's different kinds, so to speak, and there's people who want it now, but only for 3 months, or things like that. First, is it something you want permanently?
Yes, absolutely. Uh, Absolutely. Um, for lots of reasons. I want it to be truly universal, available. Everyone can get it, and really, what it does, it addresses poverty. It has the potential to end poverty. And in like I said before, with the homes guarantee, in the richest nation in the world, no one should be in poverty, and it will guarantee a basic level for financial stability. It will increase entrepreneurship, and it will also compensate the vast amounts of uncompensated work that goes on today, where people are doing really good work in their communities and they're not compensated for it because there's no specific sellers or buyers market. But a lot of this this kind of work is socially beneficial. And there's actually a UN study in 2008, I think, or no, actually 1999, a UN study on this uncompensated work, where they defined it as basically if it's a job that you could hire someone to do for you, it's somebody's doing it for themselves, it's uncompensated work. They analyzed it and they looked, if it was accounted for today, it would be 70% of global GDP if that was compensated for. So these are not only things about taking care of children, taking care of a house, of elderly and our family members, but also things like community organizing. Doing good work in our communities, volunteering. Like, these are all uncompensated work that should be compensated. And if we want to eliminate poverty, let's give people the cash.
Right. Do you agree that we need UBI with a federal jobs guarantee to work?
I'm absolutely open to that too. Look, working Americans for far too long have gotten the short end of the stick, and we've seen trillions of dollars in corporate subsidies handed overnight to these massive international corporations. And we genuinely need to guarantee the higher standard of living, and let's do everything that we can to do it. And what's good about a federal jobs guarantee is it provides us the opportunity to fulfill needs in our communities that aren't being met. So the combination of both is a great thing, because also not everybody can actually do work so those people are entitled to really financial security as well, I think.
And I think that's, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that's kind of where UBI, like, okay, you take Yang and stuff, like his version, which also was the case overseas. His version was cutting social services
Mm-hmm.
to, like, cool, you want that, but sorry, you don't get your food stamps, and lie heap and things like that, and which just is would just be bad, period, to do those things. So do you support the UBI that would just be like a federal jobs guarantee and 1,000 a month per person, 500 per kid, period, cut no social programs?
Right. Yes. Exactly. We don't have to cut the social programs. We should make it more efficient and streamlined. But I think that honestly, our social benefits for people who need food, who need housing, those things should be expanded, not taken away from anybody. We I don't see any program as having to be mutually exclusive, right? Because if we're going to address poverty, if we're going to increase our standard of living, let's have comprehensive packages with addressing it from multiple angles. Why not? And you know what? Look, if something doesn't work, we could have baked into the bills yearly economic analysis And if it's not doing what we want to do, then we readjust it to where it has to be. But I want to guarantee a baseline for everyone. So federal jobs guarantee, because we have to do things like build community solar, hydroelectric dams. We have to build new post offices. We have to do so much work in our community. It's absolutely like this is the time to do it. It's needed. In times of COVID, when there's 34 million people now out of a job, guess what? A federal jobs guarantee can hire people to repair roads. Even do social work. There's tons of needs that we have to be fulfilled, but none of these programs should be exclusive of each other. I think because we have to address all of our issues in a comprehensive way.
Absolutely. And as far as, COVID, are your residents reaching out to you and saying, look, do you have a plan on this? How should we deal with this? It's, people are hurting right now. So are people coming to you for advice?
Many people are hurting right now. Absolutely. We're having problems like pretty much every state with the unemployment insurance, and getting people the unemployment funds that they need, because there's been such a high demand for it. It's estimated a third of people that are qualified haven't gotten it in New Jersey yet. But yeah, so we're working with mutual aid networks to do some home deliveries of food and stuff, and do shopping for some people. But really, we have to get our communities as organized as possible. No one should be feeling alone this time, even though we're social distancing and quarantine. It's super important. And you know what? I honestly wish more people would reach out if they need help. So, like, if anybody's from New Jersey in this area, Middlesex, Monmouth, please don't hesitate. I'll gladly do shopping for you, no problem.
Awesome. So, speaking of COVID, arguably the number one, issue to many people is Medicare for all. So as far as when you're speaking to people in your district, do they seem supportive of that specifically?
Yes, absolutely, yes, absolutely. So, actually, our state pays the fifth highest in the nation when for our health insurance. About 60% have like employer sponsored coverage, but even then, the total cost is like $17,000 when you include the deductibles, and that's really, we're being price gouged left and right, and people really come to you know understand it the fullest when they have a health problem. So a few months ago, I met a man who had an appendicitis, and he needed an appendix surgery. And the second I mentioned Medicare for all, it just clicked in his head, like immediately. He was like, "Wow, I shouldn't have to pay deductibles. I shouldn't have to pay $4,000 out of pocket to get my appendix removed." And I agree. Most people here agree. So some people do have the classic question of how do you pay for it, and I try to reframe the question: how can we save trillions of dollars over a decade? How can we afford to do so? It just honestly, once you run the numbers before somebody, they kind of get it. So basically, I usually say under the Medicare for All plan, if you make $100,000 a year, Medicare for All will cost you $2,800 for the year, or a little over $200 a month, and you'll never have a deductible or copay. And if you lay that number out before somebody, they get it. Also, if we lose our job, we lose our health insurance.
Yeah. Absolutely. I worked in health insurance for over 10 years and I got laid off. So thankfully my husband put me on his. But it's like, I see that shit all the time, and it's so upsetting because I've worked in Medicare for years. So, you see these elderly people or disabled people and they can't afford their bills, things like that. It's just awful. One of the things that I think about with Cory Booker, speaking of New Jersey, that just infuriates me is Bernie came out with that bill to put a cap on prescription drugs, and Cory voted against it. So what are your thoughts as far as, either putting a cap on prescriptions or getting them from Canada, anything to essentially lower the cost.
Yeah, let's lower the cost. We pay more than everybody else. We're getting price gouged. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous how insulin costs so much money here, and in Canada, you go, it's 10% of the price in America. You know, first, yeah, importation, sure, let's do that. Let's cap medicine costs at $200 a year. I like that plan. That sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I mean, look, it's insane to me that our government has given drug companies a monopoly on drug prices. They can charge whatever they want, and the government can't do anything in favor of the people. You have to be kidding me. Healthcare has to be a right. Medicines that you need to survive have to be a right, and they have to be for the lowest cost possible. So let's not only import them from other countries. Let's invest in federally owned manufacturing plants of things like insulin, of the most common drugs on the planet, and provide them at cost to our people. Why not? We have to have healthy people here.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's see, what else did I have? So as far as a lot of us are feeling pretty depressed right now as far as, Bernie dropping and, essentially likely being stuck with Joe. Um, a, a lot on people's minds are, around, what a shit candidate he is. So what is your, I mean, what is your outlook? Like, how are you getting past the idea that like our hope, our candidate of hope is just kind of, he dropped. So what do you look for to kind of reinvigorate you to keep going?
Well, a lot of things. Well, for people who have felt the despair, I understand, and I also felt it too for a little bit. But the only thing that we should focus on are the things that we can change. And Bernie did his thing. He had his reasons, whatever. We can still win our policy positions at the convention if Bernie gets enough delegates, and also if we're demanding that the candidate, whoever it may be, adopts these policy positions that we have. You know, we want universal health coverage. You know what? We're still going to fight for it. This is not something that was going to be won in one election anyway. It was not going to be won just by getting Bernie in the White House. It's going to take a massive movement of people that are helping to elect grassroots candidates that support our policies. It's going to take massive work. This is the movement for justice for our entire lives. I have something to break it to everybody. This is a movement for justice that is going to last our entire lives. But there's one good thing that we have. The time is in our favor, and the opinion of American people are in our favor. But it's going to take a ton of work. Nothing good ever came easy. And look, JFK was arguing for universal health coverage. It goes that far. It goes further back than that. You know, FDR was asking for universal health coverage. These are almost a century-long struggle in the United States that we have to continue. It does not live or die with one candidate. It is a mandate that we have to get it done, though. We have to get it done. We have to continue to organize, get more people in this movement. And honestly, if there's somebody running near you, volunteer for them like you would for Bernie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of which, your website, can you give your website? I don't want to forget. Just, I know you guys kind of exist on grassroots donations and stuff.
Yeah, we're all grassroots. We've actually outraised the incumbent in grassroots donations, individual donations.
Ah,
But yeah, the website's Russ for Us 2020, and it's RUSSFORUS2020.com. I appreciate the plug, Joy. Thank you.
absolutely. What would you like to, leave our viewers with so that they go and check out your website and, recommend you to other people in New Jersey?
Well, honestly, since we're grassroots, the best thing that anyone can do is sign up to volunteer, and I'll invite you to the Slack to be an online activist. It's honestly pretty simple to share, comment, and get our our name out there. If we're going to win, we just need more people. We have over 120 people who have signed up to volunteer, and we've been phone banking. We're phone banking here. We have about 25,000 people more that we have to contact. So we definitely need some help on the dialer. But really, I want people to know that our power is working together. And my campaign, our foundational slogan, not me, us. This is not my campaign and about getting Russ elected. This is about all of us coming together and working for justice in our own little bit of a way, But really, like my primary is probably one of the most important in the country, because if when Democrats maintain their control of the House of Representatives, the incumbent is going to be chairing the Energy and Commerce Committee, and he'll never pass Medicare for all because he takes millions of dollars from pharma and insurance companies. He'll never pass a Green New Deal. He's already shut down AOC's subcommittee. He's a fossil fuel industry backed person. He literally copy and pastes his bills from like PSE&G, Trans Canada, everybody, all the companies that are destroying this planet. He literally takes their suggestions and just puts them into the House and shuts down all of the progressive climate action we want. So honestly, it's super important to get involved. I love if you could volunteer. I'd really appreciate that. And it's fun. We get to hang out on Zoom a lot and talk about how crappy this response of our government has been to COVID and what we should be doing. And there's so much that we need to get done in our country, and the time is now, though.
Absolutely. You make me feel better. I like that perspective. I feel better. Sometimes I just need a kick in the ass, like, Joy, stop being so morose, damn it. It's hard not to go there,
Oh, absolutely. That's what they want you to feel too. Don't give in. Don't give in to that.
Exactly.
That's what power wants.
I don't want like Neera Tanden and Joyanne Reed giving each other cheers because I'm crying in the corner. That's not what I want. So yeah. I'll just keep fighting.
Good for you. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, thank you so much for coming back, Russ. I always enjoy speaking with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do you want to give your website once more, your Twitter, all that fun stuff?
Thanks. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Joey. So everything's Russ for Us 2020. RUSSFORUS 2020.com. And I really love what I see you on social media.
Awesome. So Saturday I have I was on the Humanist Report again Tuesday night. I made a huge announcement, and it's going to air Saturday. I'm not preggers. That's not what it is. I'm working on something really big with someone you guys love very much. So that'll be coming out Saturday afternoon. And I have, let's see, Shahid Buttar coming back at the 19th. I have Luke Savage coming back. So I have a lot of good guests coming up. I'm booked for the next few weeks out. So I'm looking forward to some good shows. So thanks you guys again for watching, and thanks again, Russ. Best of luck with everything.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. And I'm really happy to see you.
You too. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.